our winter sports, and that means both basketball teams and our Sterling wrestling teams as well. For the first time, we're going to see Sterling girls and see what they can do in trying to get to Ball Arena. And for the boys, it will be, business as usual, getting ready for regional action coming up next week at Eaton High School for the boys. The girls will be in downtown Denver, and we will be talking here with Coach Paul Garcia. Coach, you've got the location, so I saw it was a metro location. Where are the girls going to be next week for regional?
The girls will be at Fort Lupton.
Fort Lupton, okay, so almost the metro area, but they'll go to the home of the Blue Devils there to see who's going to get their state bids. The boys will go to Eaton. A lot of Patriot League teams there. The boys coming off the Patriot League tournament this past weekend. Not exactly the results I think you guys were hoping for in this one. Also, we've got Kaylie Greene here, a sophomore, who has led the Sterling girls team here in their first ever year of the program, so we'll talk to her in just a moment. But Coach, this past weekend, you guys go 10th place out of 17. You guys have 3 placers, Manny Renteria, a medical forfeit there for a 4th place finish at 113. Aiden Ortega took 5th place at 126, and Oren Adolph 215 4th place. But it seemed like everybody at least got a win or two. Nobody really got shut out. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 guys that went 0-2. So how would you evaluate how things went with the regional tournament, or not the regional tournament, excuse me, the Patriot League tournament last weekend?
Everybody wrestled pretty well. We have quite a few young kids that they haven't seen this level yet, so this was the first time for them, and they did pretty well. They wrestled well at times in the matches, and they just need to get more experience for some of them. Our kids that did place, they had a pretty tough bracket. Manny had a really tough bracket, and the bracket won't change much from there to regionals. Same thing for Oren. They ran into some pretty good kids, and he's got 2 or 3 state placers in his weight. So we're looking for him to do just a little bit better, but I think he's going to be fine when it comes down to it. And then Aiden, this was kind of the first time for him. He wrestled last year, but he wrestled up because we had a 4-time state qualifier there. So, but he wrestled pretty well. He wrestled better towards the end on Saturday, and we look for him to do something next week.
Yeah, we are expecting a few guys to battle and really compete for those top 4 spots and get themselves into the state tournament. I know a couple guys weren't there wrestling. Of course, we've talked about how many athletes you guys have this year that are splitting multiple sports. But 2 weeks ago, you guys wrestled in a lot of duels. I got to see you guys at Platte Valley when you guys took on Liberty Common and the Broncos there. You guys wrestled really well, and then followed that up on Saturday at that dual tournament. Lost the first matchup to Lyman, and then you guys reeled off the next 4. So how happy were you with that performance, at least heading into the Patriot League tournament and seeing you guys go, I think it was 5-2 over the weekend, basically over 2 days in dual tournaments?
And that was pretty good because we have a pretty decent dual team. I have spots where I can add kids if I need to, and that helps when you're deep that way. As far as the tournament goes, it's a little tougher there because some of our kids don't have that experience anymore. But kids like Caleb Garcia, my son, and Raymond Evans, they were a match away this week, so they're right on the edge. And then next week when we go to our region, we actually take out 5 or 6 of those teams, and then we add a couple other teams in there, Fort Lupton. So it's still going to be tough. Yeah, we'll have a pretty good shot for those kids to make it.
Yeah, I saw Fort Morgan will be there too, and they've been very stout this season under Kyle Growlis. He's doing a really good job with their program over there. But I want to hand it over to Kaylie Greene for the first time. And Kaylie, just a sophomore, but she has been spearheading the effort here on the girls' side. And I think the record I saw last was 17-6. You've gotten a couple of tournament wins. So, Kaylie, what led you here as a first-year wrestler? What made you decide, hey, I want to try this and see if I can do pretty good in this sport?
Garcia actually talked me into it when I was in his leadership class.
And so what, have you surprised yourself at how well you've done so far this season and the amount of wins you've been able to stack so far?
Definitely.
And what's been the biggest key for you, do you feel like, so far this season that's allowed you to just go out and learn this sport so quickly?
Probably just the dedication that it takes, the amount of time that it takes out of my day to make myself feel better.
And I know a lot of girls have jumped into this program and have decided, hey, this is going to be just something new we're trying to do. How much has that helped having a big group of girls, especially girls similar to your weight class, to be able to compete and really learn how to compete in this sport?
It's been different for sure. There's a lot of girls that we're in the same class, we're wrestling each other off. But overall, I think think that having a girls team has really significantly helped me feel better.
I know Coach Garcia has done a really good job here in getting the team together. I know it was an easy decision for the school board to put everything in and allow the girls to expand here, as we're seeing a lot of expansion with girls teams across the state of Colorado. And you mentioned already having to go against your teammates. Last week at Skyview in that tournament, you had to face Avon Falzer there, a senior, for the championship. And now, what was that like in the moment, going against your teammate you're practicing against every single day, and this time it's for a competition and it's for a trophy and a top spot on the podium?
It's hard for sure because you don't want to put your own team in. They can still wrestle, but you want to win because that's just what wrestling's about, is winning and taking home the medal that you get from it.
And we've seen a lot of the girls, still learning the rules, still learning how things work in the middle of the match, and they're kind of looking over at Coach Garcia. Did you feel like you had a little bit of knowledge of the rules, or is that something you've had to learn throughout this first season as well?
I've definitely had to learn not to look at my coach as much because it gives girls an advantage on me. It gives them open shots and things that you don't actually see because you're too busy looking at the coach.
I want to hand it back to Coach Garcia again, and Coach bragging on Kaylie here a little bit. What have you seen out of her that's impressed you so much, that's allowed her to get off to this great start for a first-year wrestler and coming out and feeling like, hey, she's got a legitimate shot to not only make the state tournament, but maybe even make some noise there in a few weeks?
Probably the biggest thing is that she's a hard worker, and coming in, if you can't work hard, it's one of those things that it's not going to work out for you. And probably the second thing would be she's smart, and she's able to pick up on techniques fairly fast and then applying it to when she needs to. And she's been a pretty good teammate for all the girls, and she's always been an extra cheerleader too, and helping those girls when they're trying to work through the hard times. So that's what we're looking for in all our athletes, that they can be.
And so this weekend on Friday, you guys are going to go to Greeley West and compete in more dual events. I assume it'll be about 4 duels between both teams. What are you looking for out of everybody? Obviously, you want to get those 4 matches for everybody, hopefully, to just keep getting that repetition. But it's a different environment than what the tournament's going to be next week in regional. So what are you looking for? What are you telling everybody you want to see out of them coming up on Friday with a real last chance before it's go time on Friday next week?
So we're going to use this opportunity mostly for get some rest for some of our guys. They're banged up a little bit. We'll use some younger kids in their spots to be one of the kids that we can use, and then we can kind of evaluate, see where we're at. And some of these other kids may not have an opportunity to go to state tournament this year, but then we can kind of see where they're at and be able to get some wins. So it's more about just development right now for some of those younger ones, and then the older ones that end up wrestling. We're looking, of course, win as many matches as we can, and then go out on a positive note for the week, and then come back next week and work hard again and try to see what happens.
Yeah, I know in a couple of your weight classes you've been still trying to figure out the answer on who you want to send to compete in the postseason. I think Ron Butler's done a really good job at 132s. It seems like he has stepped up. Do you basically have those all solidified at this point, or are there still a couple you're still saying, let's see how they do this weekend and we'll make a decision from there?
We're still kind of working on that. Sam Lang, he's our 38 pounder. He went down this week to 32 with the first week he qualified for 33. So he's down. Caleb Cloverdance is going to go down, and Alex Valdez.
Yeah.
He's going to they all went down a weight, so it'll be tougher to go lighter weight. So we're just figuring that stuff out right now and trying to keep people healthy, because this is kind of a rough time for people that be sick. Injuries, so but they all have their weight down, so we just next week will show up at a lighter weight next week.
Yeah, we've seen it before. The kids have lost their state bid just to illness, injury at the end of the season. So you keep your fingers crossed this time of year that everybody can stay as healthy as possible through a full season of wrestling. What's going to be the big challenge next week with the girls splitting off again, having to be at a different location? I assume you'll be with the boys at East. Will it be Coach Evans going with the girls to Fort Lupton? And how do you guys manage that between the two of you?
So basically, because I really like to be there for the girls, because first year, but Coach Reed, he does a good job, and I'm lucky to have him. He's doing really well with the girls, and he's not as intense as I am, and I think they kind of like that, and then sometimes they do like it when they yell at him a little more, but he's really enjoying that part of it, and he's really knowledgeable when it comes to wrestling. So we can help them a lot. So I'll miss being there, but I think they'll be fine. As far as the boys go on my side, I'm excited. I think that there's a few kids that got a good shot, and we'll see what happens.
I want to hand back to Kaylie Greene, and Kaylie, can you confirm that? Do you prefer well, I should ask, is Coach Reed more laid back than Coach Garcia in terms of how their coaching style is in a match? I didn't think so. I figured that would be the case. So, what's the difference? Because I know you guys have had to have Coach Garcia with you at certain times, and then Coach Reed has to split off with you guys when the girls and the boys are at different locations. What's the difference in style between those two? Do you feel like there's much of a difference in terms of what you're looking for coaching-wise when you're on the mat?
Yeah, Garcia is more yelling at you constantly, and then will yell at you when you do something wrong.
Well, that's fair enough. I think that's a fair assessment there. Do you guys have to deal with the younger Coach Garcia? Austin, I know he's been helping a little bit. Has he been able to coach you guys a little bit on the girls' side?
Yeah, at the beginning, more at the beginning of the season than now, because now he's doing more role positions.
Yeah.
For the younger class, like middle schoolers.
Yeah.
But he did help us a lot at the beginning, and he was at both of our duels and our home.
And now going into your first postseason, have you set specific goals for yourself and what you want to achieve here over the next 2 weeks, or is it just continuing to do what you've done and just continuing to improve in this sport?
A little bit of both. I've definitely set a couple goals for myself and my means of trying to get as far as possible and not giving up on the mat when somebody pins me, because that is a big thing that I do. If I feel as though I'm being overpowered, I just give up, let them do it.
And so what are the big things you're working on right now, Kaylie, in practice? What are the things you're trying to shore up in your method and how you wrestle throughout the match?
Landing more in my stomach, so that way it's harder for them to get me.
And what have been the biggest things that have surprised you, that caught you off guard, that you maybe weren't expecting? Just going through a wrestling season, what's been the strangest thing you've had to deal with throughout the season?
At one of our tournaments, a girl had me pinned and I didn't know what to do. Because she was like opposite of me. We were facing opposite ways, and it's hard to get out of something like that when you don't know exactly what to do.
And how much does it help to have coaches like Coach Garcia, who's done this for so long and watched so many wrestlers over the years, to know you can ask him any questions and he can give you the pretty good solutions to figure out how to get out of those situations?
It makes me feel like supported. Like even if I have a question and it's kind of a repetitive question, he still will answer.
And even being just a sophomore, like we're talking about, just your performance alone automatically makes you a leader here with how you wrestled this year. So how do you try to take that on and try to encourage the rest of your teammates, knowing that a lot of you girls, this is the first time you've ever gone through a wrestling season like this?
Sometimes it does depend. If like we have Audrey Morris there, I won't take that leader role because she has that leader role.
Yeah, I could see Audrey a couple weeks ago. We were at Platte Valley. She was almost on the mats at one point coaching you guys when you were wrestling those matches there. How nice is that to have Audrey, who has gone through it? She's even wrestled on the boys team, so she's gone through the whole rigmarole of this whole thing. How nice is it to have her to lean on and know that she's gone through the same experiences that you're going through right now?
It's comforting for sure.
And one final question for Kaylie before we let you go and talk about the goals here this season. I gotta imagine one, it's making it to the state tournament, and then what do you feel like your chances are if you get to state? Do you feel like you can make a decent run at this thing and a possible individual state title?
Yes, I do for sure.
And I lied, one more question. So this being your first year doing this as a sophomore, do you feel like, hey, this is something I'm gonna do the next 2 years too, and this is something I'm locked in for the rest of my high school career?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Kaylie, appreciate it here. We'll hand it over to Coach Garcia one more time. And Coach, for you, I never want to just sit and say, hey, we expect X amount of numbers to make it to the state tournament. So, what are you hoping for going into next week? Is there a number in mind that you say for both the boys and girls you'd like to see make it to Ball Arena, or do you just want to see everybody go out there and compete as hard as possible in the regional tournament?
It's funny that you say that because we had this conversation a couple days ago that I expect everybody to make it, but the reality is that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I want them to be realistic with their goals and work hard, get better, and then hopefully it'll take care of itself. But as far as the number, like right now, this number I'm looking, we're taking 5 to 6 on the boys' side, and on the girls' side, I'm looking 3 to 4 if we can get that, and then I'm hoping. Because this is the first time for them. We run into the girls' regional pretty stiff. think there's 32 teams in our region, and it's really tough. You got some of the powerhouse teams in there. So it's going to be difficult, but I think they can do well, win some matches, and then the rest will take care of themselves.
Yeah, that's a big challenge to the girls' side is it's only single classification, so everybody gets thrown into the same pool where the boys get to deal with their classified 3A wrestling, but still, even at 3A, it's a very stout competition that'll be at Eaton High School. So, Coach Kaylie, appreciate you guys coming out here and chatting with me, and Coach, we'll talk again next week, get ready for regional action.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, that is Coach Paul Garcia and Kaylie Greene, the sophomore that has led the way for the Sterling girls wrestling so far this season. We'll take our first break of the night. When we come back, we'll talk with Sterling girls basketball. A big overtime win last night over the Valley Vikings.